Okay, begin. So good. My bad. That's the first time that's ever happened.
I know, dude. What wet episode are we on? Welcome to this episode of the Growthcast. You're here again, as per usual, Jackson and Dallas. We've got Lance behind the camera. Yeah, Lance, thanks for being here today to help us get good visuals for this episode. We're going to talk about episode 102, Holy Grail, today. We're really looking forward to diving into this episode. It was a drip that Dallas dropped last week. But Dallas even brought it up. He wanted to dive a little bit more into it today and give some suggestions off of that daily drip. Anyway, before we get started, we have a couple announcements. Dal, where are we going to be next week?
We are going to Maui.
Yep.
Kaihi? Is that how? Kihei.
Yes.
See, I'm already butchering Hawaiian words. Dang it.
Get used to that.
But yeah, super excited. That is where the Multifamily Mindset has our Maui office.
Yes.
Where Tyler spends a lot of his time. I'd say most of his time, but he travels a lot too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But super excited. We get to spend a whole week together with the team out there. We're going to be putting together a lot of content and planning and lots of moving parts, but we're going to be super efficient with our time and enjoy every second of it.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that because we're going to be able to actually sit down with Tyler and get some Growthcast episodes that we will drop via the Growthcast, obviously. So look forward to those. And in light of us being out in Maui with Tyler next week, Dow, how are the episodes going to be next week?
So Tyler shares a lot of teachings within our network to our students on Hawaiian principles, and I've just loved it. It's fun to learn about Hawaiian culture and these principles that are rules to live by, really. And so next week we're going to drop a word a day, a new principle a day, a new Hawaiian principle a day. And I'm excited to share that with people next week.
It's going to be a little bit different. I'm actually looking really forward to just a little bit of a spin off the normal drips that we do. They're going to be Hawaiian words, and Dallas is going to go into the mindset principle behind that word. So look forward to that next week. We'll be out in Maui with Tyler. So chances are you'll probably get something from Tyler next week. Which is exciting.
I would guess that our extended cut for next Saturday will be more of a round table with all of us. Uh-huh. And we're going to see if we can't compile a few of those and launch those out throughout the next month.
Yeah, we're excited about it. And so look out for those and tune in for those for sure. And as per usual, before we dive in, if you don't mind subscribing, liking, giving us a rate and a review, that'd help us a lot.
Yeah, we're all over the place with statistics.
Yeah.
We have a new Instagram page. Algorithms jack things up.
Yeah.
And, we have few followers, but we have over 10,000 downloads on the Growthcast.
Yep.
So we're all over the place with statistics. If you could help us kind of like come together, that would be awesome. It helps us to grow and just reach a broader audience on all avenues.
Yes. So follow us on Instagram at the Growthcast. That's what it is, right?
Yep.
The Growthcast. Anyway, thanks. Yeah, if you guys don't mind doing that, we would appreciate that a ton. All right, Dal, let's dive in. Episode 102, Holy Grail. You actually talk about the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is funny.
Did you like that movie?
Dude, it was funny listening to you talk about it because you were like, my friends thought it was funny. I guess it wasn't just humor that I liked. And I think I'm probably lean more to the side of where you were. There's certain jokes in that movie that I thought were funny, but for the most part, I didn't think, I don't watch it.
I had friends that always referenced it, and I was always like, yeah, that's funny. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, so dumb.
I think I've only seen it once because I didn't think it was one that I needed to rewatch. Anyway,
the storyline's what's most important with the movie. I mean, really it was more of a segue to what the actual Holy Grail was. In Arthurian legend, people searched for this treasure that would provide them with wisdom and knowledge and sustained youth. And it was just this valuable treasure that was hard, that people would go in search of it. And if you Google it, if you Google Holy Grail, it's going to be like a goblet or a cup or a dish. It's even referred to in history as like the cup that Christ used at the Last Supper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So if I'm lying there, I'm going to look like a total fool, but I'm pretty sure
I'm sure it's been referred to.
I'm almost 100% positive. But the point being is it was something that everybody wanted because of what it was going to provide them in their life.
And what was it that it was going to provide them?
And that, again, was sustained youth. And I would say sustained youth would come in the shape and form of strength and mindfulness and knowledge and immortality. You know, I mean, really, that was kind of the idea. And there's nothing that exists in this world nowadays that would provide you with immortality. I would say that there are a lot of things that you can access that will provide you with sustained youth. You know, we have a lot of different products that we can ingest and put into our bodies that will allow us to be stronger and healthier, and supplements, you know,
apply to the top of your body, creams and things
creams,
like that.
whatever. There's lots of stuff, but I would argue that the greatest tool and resource, cup, dish, holy grail, if you will, that is literally accessible to everyone, they just need to go search for the right ones, would be books. I refer to my holy grail, or just the holy grail, as building out a library of go-to books.
We're going to talk about those books.
Yeah.
Don't say them yet.
Free mentors, man.
Don't say them yet.
The insight and the sustained youth and the power, the exponential power through strategies and principles and experiences that you can gather from reading the right books will change your life.
Yeah.
It requires a little bit of work, and it requires a little bit of strategizing and figuring some things out on your end before you know what those right books are. But books have transformed my life. And at 18 years old, going to Barnes & Noble, the only reason I was doing that is so I could get a caramel macchiato from Starbucks.
And grab the Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, but now my wife wants to go on date night, and all I want to go do is go roam Barnes & Noble and come out with 10 new books to add to my library, because that's how much books have made an impact on my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So the real holy grail to sustainability, youth, mindfulness is books. You know, I think it's interesting that you just made the comparison of, we have a lot of things that we can ingest into our physical bodies that prolong our youth, prolong our life. But there's not really anything that is very well produced or noticed to sustain our mental health and our mentality, right? And I think it's interesting that you bring it up, because what usually goes first for older people?
Yeah, their minds.
Is it their body or their minds? It's usually their minds, right? So it's like as you kind of bring this up and draw comparisons to the two, it's really bringing to light for me that the importance of working out your brain and working out your mind is, if not more important, but just as important as taking care of your physical body.
For sure. And there's something that happens with the way we compartmentalize information when we read something in the context of a book, right? In that structure, in that format, versus consuming vast amounts of information from just everyday processes that exist in a modern society and the way the world's set up. We don't really compartmentalize, meaning we have a hard time going from consumption to actually doing something with that information that we've consumed.
Yeah.
I refer to, the proper way to go about acquiring knowledge would be I would use the term digest. Mm-hmm. You know, like when you digest food, like you input something and it provides you with an output. Consumption via information wouldn't look like you taking something in and having a higher, more impactful output. It would just be adding more and more and more and more and not doing much with it. I mean, I used to tell students that I worked with, like, I've never met so many people who know so much but know absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Meaning we don't do a lot with what we're acquiring. And you can acquire so much.
Yeah.
You can. The world is your oyster when it comes to information anymore.
So, Dal, when acquiring this information, when reading these books, right, you've kind of taught us up to this point that the way to sustain your mental health and your mental longevity, youthfulness, however you want to call it, whatever you want to say, is by reading books.
Yeah.
How do we, again, actionables, right? We're always looking for actionables on the Growthcast. So what are some of the things that people can implement to get the most out of reading? Because I know people do read.
Yeah.
I know like a lot of people that read. But what are the actionables that we can put into place to get the most out of reading, right? Because I read on a daily basis, but am I getting the most out of my reading as I need to? Or as that I could, rather. So what are some actionables that we can put into place to make sure that we're getting the most out of that time we're spending reading?
Yeah. There's three things that I think are really important that you need to have figured out before you are able to access the right types of books and get the most out of your reading experience. And those three things would be, you need to set your priorities. For wherever you're at in life, you need to set your priorities, because you want to give your time and energy to those things.
Yeah.
Right? Including whatever it is you're reading. It should add to that.
Okay.
That would be one thing. And the other two things that follow suit with that would be, you need to have your purpose well defined in life. You know, we talk a lot about definite purpose and knowing why you do what you do. That includes why you're reading what you're reading.
Yeah.
Purpose would matter. So priorities, purpose, and then we're goal-oriented people. This is a goal-oriented community. Having your goals set for your short term, your midterm, your long term. If you have those three things well defined, you will know how to better access the right books for you. And that's going to be different from person to person, depending on how you've defined those three things.
Okay.
So that helps you get more out of whatever it is you're reading. You'll know how to better access the right tools, and that will also add to the energy that you take into a session when you're reading. It'll be a lot more exciting.
Right.
Because
you're searching for something. You're going in there.
You're doing it on purpose.
There's an action behind why you're doing it.
There's more purpose. It's a deeper layer of purpose to what you're doing.
Yep. So let's just recap those three things real quick.
Set your priorities for wherever you're at in life. Those things are going to change as you grow and gain new experiences. You know, Dallas at 22 was probably reading, not probably, 1,000% was reading different things than Dallas at 34.
Yeah.
I'm a dad and I have 3 kids and I've had different experiences. I wasn't a dad. I wasn't even married, right?
So having purpose.
Priorities, definite purpose, defining your purpose,
right,
and then having a grasp on what your short-term, midterm, and long-term goals are.
Because then you can relate whatever it is that you're reading to those things. I think, and maybe the actionable is to make sure you're reviewing your purpose, your goals.
Yep.
Before you sit down to read.
And whatever you're reading you'll be able to amplify the actionables from that, whatever you're right? You'll be able to digest better the information, not just consume it.
Yeah.
You won't just go, oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember reading 12 rules. Go ahead.
Real quick before you jump into that.
Yeah.
I just want to be like a testimony of that. I've really started implementing this principle with reading. Within the past 3 weeks, I've really started I've been reading, but I haven't really been doing the things that you're talking about. And it has made such an impact on the material that I read. I think about it often throughout the day now, rather than just reading it, closing my book, leaving it there. Those things that I've learned while reading have been fresh in my mind every single day, because I go at it with purpose. I go at it with intention to pull something out of the book to apply.
You have clarity on your priorities. You have clarity on purpose. You have clarity on your goals, and you're gaining more clarity through the reading.
For sure.
As you do it.
For sure. So if you're not doing that, do it.
We don't have
100%.
enough time to talk about this, and I know you're going to ask me a question, but before you do, let's close this little segment off with these books also as part of digestion versus consumption. They should be tattered and worn. They should be used.
Yeah.
They should be marked up. They should have notes. And it doesn't need to make sense to anybody else. And it shouldn't just be random highlighting, right? There's actual tactical components that I teach a lot of the students that I work with of how to go about that. But my holy grail, my 3 to 4 go-tos based off my priorities, purpose, and goals, those books are the most worn and ripped and used in my entire home and in my entire library. That is a really good way to make things a lot more actionable and applicable, is to, write daily goals inside your book, or highlight something and then transfer a daily goal to take action on that in your journal.
I like that.
And then I use keywords in my books, and I write those things in with stars, and then I match it up to a library somewhere else. And again, there's not enough time in the day to explain all that. But my point is, part of digestion is being tactical about the way you go about acquiring that information, and not just reading it, closing it up, calling it good.
If you do want to know more about how to do that, we do have a product that teaches these things. So please feel free to reach out via the Growthcast at the multifamilymindset.com. We can get you access to those learning materials for sure. Before we wrap up, we're already coming up on time. Time flew on this episode.
Wow.
But I want to get into your holy grail of books.
Okay.
But I want you to go slow.
Okay.
I don't want you to just blow through them and read them up. We have time to go over this. And I think this is important because I know these books have changed your life. And as you suggest them to me and as I read them, their principles have been changing my life as well. So I want you to go over how many do you want to go over? 3 or 5?
Let's just go over 3 for time.
Okay.
I think 3 is a good number.
In no particular order. What are these 3 for you?
So Mindset by Carol Dweck is number 1.
Okay.
It actually is the foundation book that we've included as part of a Mindsetter box that we offer students and anybody really. Mm-hmm. Mindset set the stage for transformational, just a change in trajectory in my life. It really changed everything. It's everything I've built, my company and my own personal life methodologies, everything around, which is the 5 branches of growth mindset and all the work Carol Dweck did in the world. For me to be able to come to the true perspective that there are only 2 types of mindsets in this life, and we choose one or the other, and we're not always perfect, and it's sometimes we have to catch ourselves, right? A fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. Dude, that book is by far on the very tippy top of my list, and I make it a crucial component of everything I do. And it's my very first recommendation to anybody who's like, hey, I'm interested in strengthening my mindset. I'm interested in making change. I'm interested in achieving a goal, or I need help, or, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even breathe. Mindset by Carol Dweck. That's your book.
It's interesting too that the very first thing that you mention to people is a book.
Yeah.
It really drives home the importance of reading and that constant search of knowledge.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of people. I'm a teacher. I've always been a teacher, so I'm always working with students, and I have to play a specific role and responsibility in that process of teacher and student, right? And by natural default, in building trust with students, they come to you and they say, hey, I'm just really struggling, and I used to follow that up with so many questions and want to provide support. And I still do. Obviously I want to provide support, but my go-to question when somebody's struggling now is, it sounds like a weird question, but I ask them what they're reading. And most of the time, if they're really struggling, they say absolutely nothing. And that is just so powerful.
I mean, it kind of just teaches the principle itself, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
I mean, I can see that it catches most of them off guard, but it's crazy how almost immediately they start to shift oh, I'm not doing the work. That's why I'm struggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not doing the work.
It's a realization but it's like, you're totally right. That flip just switches. Yeah. Or that switch just flips. Sorry.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that's always my question.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So the first book, Mindset by Carol Dweck. Mm-hmm. Second book
would be in no particular order because my hierarchy changes after Mindset by Carol Dweck. But if I had to shift it to a 2 spot, it would probably be Viktor Frankel, Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay.
Interesting story about this book.
Okay.
When I was in English 1010 or English 1050 after that, I don't remember the numbers, man. I don't want to remember the numbers in college.
I didn't go to college. I have no idea.
But my professor required that I read this book. So I get this book, and I read it, do a report on it, turn it in, and it was impactful at the time. And anyways, fast forward like 10 years.
Yeah.
And I see there something struck a chord with me, and I was like, oh my gosh, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. I'd always been interested in the Holocaust and concentration camp and just that story, the history behind all of that. So I order Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Well, I'm cleaning out my closet like not that long after, and I go downstairs, I have the damn book in my basement. It's crazy, man. Anyways, that book, so unbelievably impactful when it comes to purpose in life. And again, we talk so much about definite purpose, and that is such an anchor that everybody needs to dig their heels on in order to live a life that is fulfilling and a life of purpose.
Yeah.
Right? And his story, Viktor Frankl, he was a concentration camp survivor during the Holocaust. He lost his entire family, and he did a lot of work in the world of psychology and logotherapy. And basically, logotherapy is you get to attach meaning and purpose. It's up to you to attach meaning and purpose to everything that you do, and that is a choice you get to make, and nobody gets to tell you.
It's an interesting principle, but it's a very important principle.
Oh my gosh. And so the stories and the science and the data that he compiled, it was an eye-opener for me. And if I ever get feeling bad, if I ever get feeling when life punches me in the face, you know, there's basically two people I go to like wake myself up and go, you can do this. You can figure this out. Jesus Christ and Viktor Frankl.
Wow.
I mean, the guy, to come out of the situation he survived and say, I'm grateful for that. It made me better.
Yeah.
I can pretty much, like, I pull that every time I feel like life's happening to me. I pull that.
Yeah.
He figured it out. He was grateful. It made him better.
Yeah.
Who are you to complain?
Yeah.
I love that book, man.
Awesome.
It's an awesome book.
Awesome.
Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
Awesome. So that's number 2. Again, no particular order. And the third and final one?
So for me, gosh, dude, I'm just going to talk about, So Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Okay.
I'll just throw that one out there. Okay. We don't have enough time.
I know there's many books that you have in your library.
It's a tie. I will talk mostly about Atomic Habits by James Clear, but The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday is also another one. Great. But let's talk about Atomic Habits by James Clear, just because habits, identity change, trajectory, goalless thinking. We were talking about this prior to recording today.
We were.
And it's as much mindset as it was a systematic read for me, meaning like gave me nuts and bolts of how to like put together right systems in my life to actually do what I was wanting to do, what I had told myself I was going to do.
Okay.
You know, and obviously Atomic Habits, it's in the title. It's all about habits. It's all about giving power to daily action. And what I got out of that book, there's so many things, dude, but what I got out of that book is, in order to achieve a goal, which all of us have goals, it takes a certain process and commitment to really define it. Mm-hmm. But then it takes a certain level of commitment to forget about the goal once it's been defined and just give power to the moment every single day and give power to the small, simple things that are the most powerful and not get overwhelmed. And that book was really powerful for me when I first started growing my business. That was like the primary read right at the beginning. So I was able to like implement things in real time. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it just morphed into this, I need to make sure that I commit to helping other people do this, what he's teaching. You know, he talks about the aggregation of marginal gains, and that's been a centerpiece of what I teach to people all the time about 1% incremental changes and how those things add up. Yeah. It's just, it's been a keystone for sure. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend Mindset by Carol Dweck. That pillar for me is mindset. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. That pillar for me is purpose. And then another one of my pillars is Goals and Systems. Atomic Habits by James Clear covers my base there.
Awesome. You heard it here first. Those are the books.
For sure.
Those are the books that you need to read if you haven't read them. Dallas, thank you so much. As we wrap up here, let's just trace back to the actionable items as you're reading to make your reading more impactful. Let's go over those actionables one more time.
All right. I'm going to invite all of you to go build your Holy Grail. Put it somewhere in your home where you're going to see it every day so that you can gain access to it in the most simple, easy, powerful way possible.
Yes.
Super easy to find.
Yes.
They're going to become the most tattered, worn books in your entire home.
They should.
They should be. But in order to build that thing out, there are a few actionables. And one of those actionables is define with clarity your priorities for where you stand in your life currently.
Yep.
What you're tackling, right? Define your purpose on paper, not just like, oh, my purpose in life is this. No, you should put that thing on paper on purpose and put it somewhere where you're never going to forget it, where you can reference it, read it, affirm it, right? And then the other one would be know what your short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals are. If you can define those three things with clarity and specificity, then you have everything you need to go out and find the right books that are going to help you to continue to strengthen your pillars for whatever your life and your business are right now as they stand.
Awesome. I think that's a perfect place to wrap up. Dallas, again, thank you for your time and your wisdom to teach us these such important principles. I appreciate you, man. If you haven't followed us on Instagram, go ahead and do that at the Growthcast. Like, subscribe, give us a rate and review on wherever it is that you're listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Lance, thanks for being here and giving us a hand. Please reach out if there's anything that we can do for you. If you have any suggestions for the Growthcast or any guests you would like to see within the Multifamily Mindset, make sure to email growthcast@themultifamilymindset.com. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care.